Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to today's live session. I'm so excited to have you here once again for the 64th session. And today we're going to make sure that we dive in deep and get clarity fast because I was reflecting back on a lot of things. And one of the reasons I decided to keep today's topic as talking about confusion and clarity is because that's what I call my newsletter as well. And I realized that in the coaching processes as well that I do, this is the journey that people go on all the time, from confusion to clarity. And it makes complete sense because think about it. As long as you're confused, as long as you're directionless, as long as you have no idea what to do, then no matter how many great tools you have, no matter how many great ideas you have, the problem that happens is you have nowhere to put them to. And when there's nowhere to put in those ideas, you struggle, you have challenges, you have barriers, and so does everybody else. But you don't see any point in working through them. You don't see any point in growing through them. And as a result of that, all that ends up happening is you suffer, you burn, you give up, and you don't succeed. And you repeat the same cycle again with another goal or another task or something else that might be coming up for you, and then you're not able to create the life that you want. One of the best ways to describe the cycle of everyday confusion that exists is something that Earl Nightingale said in his beautiful audio called The Strangest Secret in the World. And he gave this example that imagine you are at the helm and the driving seat of a 15-foot tall machine, the ground movers that are there that excavate big things from the ground, and you're crawling across the road, but you have no idea how to control the machine. That 15 foot, 30-foot giant machine that you are perched at the top of, if you have no idea how to direct or control it, you are going to drive straight into the ditch. Just like that, everything in your life, all resources, money, power, influence, connections, social media followers, any and everything that can be considered as leverage is useful only when you have enough clarity on exactly where you're headed, and you know enough in your everyday life to stay in alignment with that clarity. And if you don't, then what you're doing is living a false dream life. Like, just imagine this. Let's say there's someone whose goal is to become a champion Olympic swimmer. That's not impossible by any means. You can make it happen. But does it require a lot of effort, work, grit, and determination, and patience, and focus, and discipline, and all the other success qualities that are required? Of course, it does. Because on the stage of the Olympics, you cannot have mediocrity, only excellence. In fact, above excellence is what is given entry in that forum. In that, then whoever performs the best is the one who wins. So if you want to get there, you have to go above excellent. You can't be an average swimmer, you can't be a normal swimmer. But then rather than spending the time that you have every day on swimming, on building the skills, you're spending it on, let's say, learning more about AI, which is not a bad thing. But if that's not your priority right now, then AI is not going to make you a better swimmer. Just like that, if you know that the goal is to be that swimmer, but you're eating pizzas and burgers and other unhealthy stuff every single day, well, say goodbye to the goal of becoming a good swimmer, an excellent swimmer, an Olympic champion swimmer. Now, to make that happen, you need to align your everyday life to these ultimate goals that you have. Otherwise, you're living in incongruence, you're living in denial. You're living a life where, on one end, you say you want something, but your daily actions, they reflect something completely different. And you can try as hard as you want, try as long as you want to fool yourself and to fool others, to think that you can do one thing and get the other, to believe that you can have unhealthy food every day and still become an Olympic swimmer. Try as hard as you can to delude yourself, but you'll only end up realizing it was all a delusion. It never works out, it never gets clear. And the saddest part is, we are living in this delusion every day. The longer we spend our lives staying misaligned to the person we want to be, not just in terms of goals, but also in terms of values, in terms of standards, in terms of the emotions we want to experience every single day. Our everyday confusion is a completely different game. The vision, the dreams, the ideas inside our head, they're on a completely different level, and there's no way to bridge the gap in between. And that's why we feel stuck. That's why we feel helpless. Now, for example, imagine this. If I'm on this level and I want to go on this one, I can take a slight jump and get here. But if I'm on this level and I want to go on this one, and in between there's empty sky, there's nothing, there's no staircase, there's no way, of course I'm going to feel stuck here. Of course I'm going to feel lost and I'm going to feel like, what the hell am I doing? Why am I not able to get there? Well, my question is this: in terms of the goals that you want to achieve, in terms of the life that you want to lead, you are looking at that big goal for sure. What are the action steps you are taking today to build the ladder that will get you there? That's how you end your everyday confusion, when you get clear on that answer. Now, I don't just want to leave you hanging on that. I want to give you even more clarity on what it exactly means and what's the simplest way to get that clarity in your life. So, are you ready for it? Because this is going to be an amazing conversation, but it's going to do something important. It's going to rid you of all the excuses you've been coming up with till now for why success has not been possible for you, for why growing has been impossible, for why stuckness is your new normal. All of those excuses are going to go out the window if you are choosing to listen further up ahead. So I thought I'd better give you that warning, because just in case you don't want to create your dream life, you can sign off now. But if you do, stay till the end, because today's conversation is really going to help you take this further. So, when we think of clarity and when we think of everyday alignment in our actions and our goals, the biggest mistake we make is thinking, what more do I need to do to achieve this? That's a completely wrong question to ask. In fact, the question you need to ask is, who do I need to be? What kind of actions does that person take? And what kind of actions does that person not take? What's negotiable? What's non negotiable? Even about the everyday choices that you're making. Now, I want to give you a continuation with the Olympians example further up ahead. Now, for example, let's say you want to become that champion Olympian and you have that goal and you want to become a great swimmer. The identity you need to have and the clarity you need to have is of a disciplined, successful, abundant, confident, and just a driven person who's ready to crack on their goals and get started. And now, for that person, it's very clear what they're going to do. Those actions are simple. But even more than those simple actions like swimming and practicing and eating healthy and eating clean and all of that stuff, what's clear, absolutely clear, is what they are not going to do. And that right there is the ultimate clarity of all. Because the reason we get confused and overwhelmed by our everyday choices is too many things are pulling our attention and our focus. Too many people are calling us to do things that are not aligned with us. Too many times we end up making the choices that sabotage our growth and our success and the goals that matter to us. And that's why knowing what not to do is the fastest way to get to the clarity that you want, and then sticking to it absolutely sure, because you know why you've made that decision. Now, for example, that Olympian knows, if I go to a late night party and I am partying till 4 a.m. and I'm completely wrecking my schedule of practice the next day and probably for the whole day because I'll be hungover with a bad headache, for that person, going to a rave party or going to a, strong and whole night party and all this stuff, it's absolutely clear that I'm just not going to do it. So when someone asks, there's no decision making lag. There's no time the Olympian has to spend in thinking. There's no confusion of whether I should go or whether I should not go. There's no pressure that, oh, you know what? My friends were saying, please come, please come, please come. So I had no choice. I had to go. No, the person's clear. If there's a no, there's a no. If this action is not acceptable because of my goals, it's not acceptable. Simple as that. Done. Confusion ended. You see, the reason you're feeling confused for so much time in your day, the reason you're getting lost is not because you don't know what to do. You know that. You're just not getting started on it. And for that, you need to figure out what not to do and set those standards first, set those conditions first, and respect yourself enough to follow those conditions throughout. And if it's a no, it's a no. Decision making process gets shortened, you have way more time at hand, and your everyday confusion clears up, because your mind, your attention, your focus, and your time can now go to the things that truly matter, rather than the environments and the situations and the things that are not conducive for your growth and for the goals that you have. Now, for example, one of the personal values that I uphold to is that I'm absolutely sure in my life I do not have any inclination for it, and I'm never ever going to smoke a cigarette or have alcohol or have alcoholic drinks, even in a casual sense. Now, that may seem like too disciplinarian to some people, but the reason I'm saying that is not because of a high moral stance or see how superior I am to the people who drink. No, that's not what I'm saying. If it's your choice, please feel free to go ahead with it. There's no judgment about it. My logic is simple. I want to have a healthy body. I want to have the peak version of my health, because in my relationships I want to show up as the best version of myself. I want to be ever present, and I don't want to need something external to myself to make me comfortable in a new situation with a new person. And in my career, I know with the kind of vision I have and the goals that I'm chasing, I'm absolutely clear of the kind of peak physical fitness I'm going to need to stand the whole day delivering workshops, to work for 18 hours a day if needed sometimes, to just sit there and have the energy and the presence to absorb some of the most difficult challenges and problems people are telling you about, and to not feel overwhelmed by it, to feel excited and driven and curious about it and about the impact I can make through the help that I can provide. Now, that's the vision I'm leading with. And I'm absolutely clear, if I put something that makes my throat go bad, like a cigarette, or makes my lungs go bad and makes me short of breath and affects my health, it's going to sabotage all these other things that are important to me. So I'm just absolutely clear. That action is a strict no. I don't even need to think about it. If someone were to offer me a cigarette, my instant response is no, thank you. I do not need it. I do not want it. Now, if let's say there's a friend who's really, really, really pressuring me to do it, and as we know in our lives, right, this happens. And sometimes it's our partner, sometimes it's parents, sometimes it's friends, sometimes it's colleague. There are some things we don't want to do, and those are the very things that people force us to do. Now, there, because I am absolutely clear within, and I know my conscience, and I know the reason I'm coming up with the decision, I don't care if the other person is disappointed. My answer is still going to remain a no, because my clarity is there. And so now, for example, let's say there's a weekend and there's a choice given to me. You can either stay at home and talk to your clients, or you can either stay at home or read a book, or you can either stay at home and do nothing, or you can go out and you can, just go to this club out there, have a fun party, drink all night, really have the time of your life. What do you think I'm going to choose? Am I ever going to be confused about where to spend my weekend and where not to spend my weekend? Of course not, because my clarity exists that this action is non negotiable. Just like that, in my work, I have a certain standard. Now I'm clear, no matter what happens, in the writing that I do for my newsletter, for my books, I am not going to use AI. I'm a writer. I have the skill, and that's what I want to nurture. I'll use AI to proofread, I'll use AI to check the facts, I'll use AI to get some feedback on the structure if needed, but the core content, the core writing always has to be mine. So the next time I come across a video on YouTube saying, write these 12 prompts to get the best writing ever from Claude or ChatGPT, that even professors wouldn't be able to guess that this was written by AI. Am I going to be interested in that video? Am I going to spend 30 minutes of my time wasting on that video, knowing full well that even after watching that video, I'm still going to be writing myself only? Of course not. But if I don't have that clarity, how easy is it for me to get distracted and to get drifted into what the world is offering and into the next shiny thing and the next beautiful thing and all these other distractions that come our way and pull our attention, time, focus, space, money. And they also take up our energy, they also take up our drive and alignment to create the results that we want. You see, if you don't have this clarity of what not to do, you're going to end up in the same cycles. Something or the other is just going to show up, drag your attention, and boom, 2 hours a day are gone. You're exhausted. You have no idea what to do, and you didn't even end up doing anything productive. Where you know your career, your relationships are a priority, but you're not clear of how and where you want to spend your time. So when an offer comes to you for an instant pleasure or a party or a distraction or something or the other, and you go right ahead with it and ignore the need of the hour, just because you wanted to relax, then that's why you're staying mediocre. That's why things are not happening, and that's why every single day is going in confusion. Now, on the other hand, if you're a professional dancer, or if you're someone who wants to know how things work in a club or that, then that action is something you should do every day. Go to a club every day, party every day, if that is meaningful to you. See, this is the distinction I want you to understand. I'm not saying that any activity is morally good or morally bad, or objectively good or bad for everyone. Everyone has different priorities in life. Ask yourself, what are mine? What aligns with that? What doesn't align? Remove what doesn't align, and automatically your existence will become a lot more clear, fulfilling, assertive, and overall satisfying, because you will be living a life not just for the sake of it drifting through the wind, but a life you would have consciously created. So I hope this helps, and I hope this gives you clarity that to be a high achiever and to end the confusion, you need to bring it down, not just in a vision, but in the everyday steps you are taking in alignment with that vision. And to get clarity on that everyday steps, even before figuring out what to do, just cut out the things that you are not meant for, that you know you're not going to do. And the day you do that, the way time, space, attention, and focus open up for you for the things that truly matter is magical, and you become the high performer who leads with clarity and achieves success fast. It's all about what's acceptable in your life and what's not. Nobody can be a better judge of that than you. So tonight, take this thought and take this question with you, that what matters to me in my life, and am I truly living in congruence with that, or am I living in conflict with that? And if the conflict is there, you'll know why you are confused, lost, and frustrated. End the conflict, stop doing the things that are leaking your bucket and your energy, and you will know, okay, this is the way I have to align, and this is the way I will live my dream life. So I hope this was helpful. I hope the examples made it pretty simple for you of what it means to reduce decision fatigue. So instantly you're clear. This is done, this is not done, no confusion at all. And with this confidence, now you can lead your life to go to the next level. Thank you so much for being here. And I'll see you once again tomorrow at the same time. That is 8:30 p.m. IST. Bye. See you soon.